This is Andrey Santos.
Decent ball as well from Neto. There's Andrey Santos! It's 2-0 Chelsea!
And this is Youri Tielemans.
No one marking Tielemans! Oh! What glorious technique!
United's player recruitment in the post-Ferguson era has so often been criticised for being erratic and misguided, especially given the staggering £2 billion spent on transfer fees alone since 2013. But their latest moves feel different. For United, signing players with proven Premier League pedigree has become central to their recent transfer strategy. Moves for Bryan and Mbeumo and Matheus Cunha from Brentford and Wolves last summer signalled that intent. One that has been reinforced this summer by the arrival of Andrey Santos from Chelsea. Now Tielemans becomes the latest signing after United activated his £35 million release clause and went from in advanced talks to a deal done faster than I can take a shit. With the signing of the duo, there's finally clarity in United's business, a sense of direction that's been missing for years. Sure, at first glance, Santos and Tielemans may not be the marquee signings many United supporters had in mind, nor are they direct replacements for the outgoing Casemiro. But make no mistake, they are exactly what United need next season. Here's why. Santos arrives at United having been shaped by three very distinct footballing cultures. His story begins at Vasco da Gama in Brazil's Serie A, where he broke into the first team as a teenager and, by 19, showed enough composure and authority to convince Chelsea to invest £18 million in January 2023. Bro, what were you doing at 19? But his early months in England were defined by patience rather than progress. With Moise Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez established in midfield, opportunities at Stamford Bridge were limited, while a loan to Nottingham Forest during the first half of the 2023-24 season brought just 2 appearances. It was in France, however, where Santos' career truly gathered momentum. A subsequent move to Blue Co-owned Strasbourg for the remainder of that campaign allowed him to rediscover the qualities that earned him the move to Chelsea in the first place. And boy, did it prove to be a breakthrough. Returning to Strasbourg for the full 2024-25 season, Santos had, by spring, even forced his way into conversations as one of the league's best midfielders. He led the division outright in ground duels, won with a 71% success rate and ranked among the top players for combined tackles and interceptions. Just as importantly, he added end product to his game, finishing the season with 10 goals and 3 assists in 26 appearances. And across a total of 18 months in France, he delivered 12 goals and 5 assists in 45 games. Santos then returned to Chelsea at the start of the 2025-26 season under Enzo Maresca, finally making his long-awaited debut for the Blues at the Club World Cup. Although there were encouraging flashes, particularly during a bright spell under Liam Rosenior, he never could quite nail down a starting spot at Chelsea. His performances were enough to earn 6 caps for Brazil, but he was ultimately left out of Carlo Ancelotti's World Cup squad. In total, Santos made 43 appearances across all competitions for Chelsea, yet only 25 of those were starts, and just 13 came in the Premier League, a lack of consistent opportunities that ultimately drove him to seek a regular role elsewhere. By the way, if you're enjoying the video so far, we'd be incredibly grateful if you subscribed. Your support helps us grow and continue creating the content you love. Tielemans rose through the youth system at Belgian giants Anderlecht between 2002 and 2013, quickly emerging as one of the club's brightest ever talents and earning himself a place in the senior squad in 2013, remarkably at just 16 years old. Bro, what were you doing at 16? That breakthrough season also saw him contribute to Anderlecht's league title triumph in 2014, making 29 appearances and winning the Belgian Young Player of the Year award, an honour he would claim again in the next season. What began as a remarkable breakthrough soon evolved into sustained excellence, each season building on the last and culminating in a superb 2016-17 campaign. And at the heart of yet another title triumph, he was deservedly named the Belgian Pro League's Player of the Season. I mean, how could he not after spamming long shots like this? His influence was so profound that it's surely no coincidence the last time Anderlecht were crowned champions came in his final season at the club. In 2017, Tielemans finally made the jump to one of Europe's top 5 leagues by signing for Monaco. But after struggling to establish himself as a regular starter, he was eventually sent on loan to Leicester City in 2019. It was at the Midlands club, however, and still just 21 years old, that he rediscovered his rhythm and kick-started what would become a long and distinguished Premier League career. After 4 impressive seasons with Leicester, Tielemans joined Aston Villa on a free transfer in the summer of 2023. There he further strengthened his Premier League resume, taking his overall tally in the competition to 279 appearances, with 28 goals and 44 assists. He was key in Villa securing top 6 finishes in each of his 3 seasons at the club, which included a Champions League qualification in 2024, followed by their famous Europa League triumph in 2025-26. And that sustained success only heightened his appeal elsewhere. After missing out on Matheus Fernandes, following their reluctance to meet a fixed £85 million fee which, for a relegation-bound West Ham side, borders on daylight robbery, it's hardly surprising that United pivoted toward younger, more affordable alternatives who still offer Premier League experience. In that respect, Santos fits the bill and even shares stylistic similarities with Fernandes, as both are adept progressive passers and combine that with a strong ability to win their duels out of possession. One of United's key objectives this summer has been to find the right midfield partner for Kobbie Mainoo. But as far as midfielders go, Mainoo is, first and foremost, a ball carrier. His most impactful moments come when he collects the ball deep and drives forward, evading pressure with close control rather than by splitting lines with line-breaking passes. It's a valuable trait and one Michael Carrick will certainly look to spam, but it can also turn United's build-up play into a one-trick pony. Because if Mainoo gets crowded out or dispossessed, there is often no alternative way to progress the ball but to hoof it upfield to Sesko and inshallah. Santos offers a solution to this tactical dilemma, being a pass-first midfielder ranked in the 99th percentile among Premier League midfielders for progressive passes completed. In that sense, he complements rather than replicates Mainoo, as he ranks in just the 19th percentile for progressive carries, preferring to release the ball early. Against stronger opposition, United will likely adopt a deeper mid to low block, just as they did in victories over City and Arsenal last season. Within that structure, a Mainoo-Santos partnership has real potential to thrive, with less space in behind to protect and more clearly defined roles in both possession and transition. With Casemiro departing, the obvious solution for United would have been to seek a direct replacement. At his best, Casemiro's game is defined by his front-footed defensive intensity, stepping out to snuff out danger and break up attacks before they gather momentum. Crucially, his defensive steel is matched by a calmness on the ball and an ability to spray passes so perfectly weighted they could find God himself. Tielemans may not be a like-for-like successor, but stylistically, he is closer to Casemiro than you might think. He has all the hallmarks of an anchoring midfielder, comfortable in the build-up, press-resistant in tight spaces, and disciplined in his use of the ball. Out of possession too, his willingness to defend on the front foot is evident in his tackling frequency, which ranked the 6th highest among Premier League midfielders last season. Where he stands apart though is in his discipline, as across 279 appearances in the competition he has remarkably never been sent off despite picking up 28 yellow cards. Much like Casemiro, who turned 34 in February and increasingly relied on his reading of the game than on raw athleticism, Tielemans defends with intelligence. He chose his moments carefully, often inviting pressure before stepping forward decisively to regain possession. Not every midfielder can truly balance defensive discipline with attacking thrust, but Tielemans is one of the few who can. He was the catalyst behind many of Villa's attacks, fizzing passes through the lines and driving his team up the pitch. A burden that has too often rested solely on Bruno Fernandes at United. That will change with the arrival of Tielemans, who also ranked first among midfielders for passes that broke 2 lines and was second only to City's Rodri for line-breaking passes made under pressure. Clearly he is not a midfielder who settles for safe sideways passes. Carrick's arrival has seen United emphasise playing more centrally than under Amorim. His team is operating closer together in the middle of the pitch to combine with speed, and favouring half-space play more often than Amorim, who relied more on his team shifting the ball out to the wing-backs to progress the attack. Having linked up superbly with Morgan Rogers, playing 40 line-breaking passes to him in the league last season, 14 more than any other teammate, Tielemans gives United supporters every reason to be excited about the prospect of a similar partnership forming down the centre alongside Bruno. He thrives on firing passes through central spaces, and being able to do so with either foot will create a lot more angles to prise open, stubborn defences. If Bruno can receive a pass on the half-turn and drive at the opposition, those vertical passes would immediately tilt the pitch in United's favour, particularly with runners like Cunha and Mbeumo darting beyond him and pinning the back line. Even higher up the pitch, Tielemans remains a central conduit. At Villa, he frequently anticipated Ollie Watkins' runs, clipping perfectly weighted passes into his stride. On that evidence, Šeško will be creaming his pants at the thought of the crosses and through balls about to come his way. The expectation is that Tielemans will anchor Carrick's midfield from the base, but it's his ability to operate as a holding, central or even advanced midfielder that gives United real flexibility. The arrival of Andrey Santos offers an alternate solution, potentially freeing either Tielemans or Mbeumo to operate slightly higher up the pitch. However, fitting all three into the same midfield would be tricky, if not near impossible, if Bruno starts. Then again, United would need to rotate far more frequently amid their return to European football this season. Tielemans' injury record, most recently ruling him out for 21 matches at Villa last season, also suggests that his minutes must be carefully managed. Yet those setbacks have not stopped him from featuring in at least 35 club matches in each of the past 13 seasons. Few signings come without risk, but at £35 million, Tielemans feels as close to one of the safest investments United could make. Their midfield rebuild may not be finished, but with additions like this, the pieces are beginning to fall into place. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe for more content like this. Also, don't forget to hit the notifications bell so you never miss a beat. And with that, we'll see you in the next video.